So what's my opinion on the new Beatles song, the last Beatles song, Now and Then? Probably the internet has waited for the millionth review of that. It's going to be a short review because it just came out yesterday and I want to have more time with the song, especially with the video, which will be released today. And so maybe more reflections on that in a forthcoming video. But my very first reaction after listening to that song about 3 or 4 times, I really was touched by that song emotionally. Intellectually, it's probably not a big achievement. Quite on the contrary, probably. Well, maybe it's a big achievement in terms of technical stuff. The Peter Jackson, the things that Peter Jackson's company did to separate John's voice from background noises and stuff. But as a song, it's probably no big achievement. It's probably I once did a ranking of all the Beatles songs, and I think "Free as a Bird" was like number 100, and "Real Love" was also about number 100 out of more than 200 songs. I think 210 songs or something like that. I'm not quite sure yet where I would rank this song. But yeah, maybe also no. It's somewhere between number 100 and 150. I think the production is now much better than the production was on "Free as a Bird" and on "Real Love," but that doesn't, that's not because of Giles Martin, who I still think is an atrocious producer and is only, is only let close to the Beatles stuff because he's his father's son. Otherwise, he would, no one, no one would really want him to work on such high-profile productions. But I think that it's Peter Jackson's company and how they were able to clean up the song. That's the improvement to over "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." Plus that there's no Jeff Lynne or almost no Jeff Lynne left in it. Jeff Lynne recorded it, at least the guitar parts by George Harrison in the 90s, but they don't really make such a Jeff Lynne imprint. I'm really, like with Giles Martin, I'm not a fan of the producer Jeff Lynne. I like the songwriter Jeff Lynne, don't get me wrong. But many people thought that "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love" sounded more like a Traveling Wilburys song or like a Cloud 9 George Harrison face song than a Beatles song. Those very, very, the way the drums sound, this typical ELO kind of drum sound, and that's no longer there, on Now and Then there's no drum sound like that. Again, a missed opportunity, as I said in my previous video. Why didn't they take that opportunity to also redo "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love" and let those 2 songs be the B-sides of the Now and Then single, or in that case it would be an EP. That would have been much more meaningful. I know the argument is they're holding it back for a remastered anthology, but even from a commercial point of view, now would have been the perfect time to re-release those tracks, because Lost on the big anthology project, they won't really make that much sense, I think. But it is what it is. The song itself, I was of course familiar with John Lennon's demo, so no big surprises here. And the demo, I'm one of the few who always preferred that demo to the demos of "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." So the song itself is okay to me, but why would I rank it? Because I said it's somewhere between 100 and 150, and "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love" is number 100. When I ranked the Beatles songs, I didn't just rank the songwriting. It was like a mix of the recording and the songwriting. And again, it's Giles Martin. Although things like the drum sound are better now because there's no Jeff Lynne imprint on it, and I'm pretty sure this song won't be as dated as quickly as the previous 2, because it goes more for a timeless classic sound, almost like an indie pop sound in a way. It reminds me a bit of the sound that's the drums on "Chaos and Creation" by Paul, which was produced by Nigel Godrich, had. So that's a plus, but the negative, The strings, they were arranged by Ben Foster, Charles Martin, and Paul McCartney. But I don't really mean the arrangement itself. I mean the mix, and that's the job of the producer. I think that's Charles' job. It's so monstrously loud. It's so overbearing. It's this should be it has the DNA of a very subtle last Beatles song. It's not like a big rousing last song. It's like a subtle coda, an epilogue, a quiet subtle epilogue. This could have been that, but it's too overbearing. It's too overblown. Once the strings come in, and I blame Charles Martin though for that. Wasn't there, of course, but I think that's typical of him, and yeah, that I don't like. What I do like, again, the drums, not just the way they are now produced, and it was, for many reasons it's great that Ringo redid his 90s drums. I also think he's a much better drummer now than he was in 1995, because remember, in he basically was in retirement from like 1981 till the early 90s. Didn't obviously play much drums. He was occupied with drinking him to death. But of course, it's great that he got sober in the late 80s, early 90s, and then he was kind of reborn as a drummer, because since that then he's like Bob Dylan, almost on a never-ending tour, and made lots of albums, not very good albums and not very good EPs in recent years. But that means that for 30 years he's really a drummer again, and drumming a lot. And I think when the anthology tracks were produced, he wasn't really he wasn't really much of a drummer anymore. So he's a better drummer now than then, and that the song sounds, his idea for the drum part, like Ringo, often sounds simple, but quite cool, and are much more beatly, much more artsy drums than those very, like I said, ELO sounding drums on Feel So Bird and Real Love. So that makes it sound more beatly. All in all, this song sounds more beatly than the 90s anthology songs, because of the drums, also because of what Paul did with the song. There's not much George on that song, but we knew that before. He didn't like that song. So it's kind of touching that Paul played a solo, or tried to play the solo in the style of George. So that George, from wherever he is now, will be okay with it, because it has a George Harrison style slide solo. That's also nice, and full circle if you think about this backstory during the 90s. Like often Paul and George, got into arguments, and one of those arguments was that Paul allegedly said, I don't want this slide guitar, My Sweet Lord shit on those new songs. Those songs should sound like proper Beatles songs, so please don't play that My Sweet Lord slide guitar stuff. And of course that was an insult to George. So now maybe he now has righted that wrong with playing a slide guitar solo in that style. So that's also kind of touching. Maybe that was also a reason why I almost cried during my first listen of that song. And the other touching thing, of course, we Beatle fans know that story, was where the title comes from, or not where the title of that song comes from, but the meaning it must have to Paul McCartney, since that's the last words that John Lennon ever said to Paul McCartney on the phone a couple of weeks or months before he was killed, were, think of me every now and then, old friend. And there's also the story, you have to look up the video, where Carl Perkins, a few months after John's death, kind of channeled, so it said, John Lennon, when he wrote a song called My Old Friend for Paul McCartney, as a thank you to Paul McCartney, who had invited Carl the previous weeks to work on Get It for the Tug of War album. And in that song, and Carl said, this song came to me without much thinking about it. He also sings Think of Me every now and then, old friends. So Paul always believed that's a message from the spiritual world, from John to him. And so it's also kind of weird that even before that, John wrote that demo called Now and Then, and that this is now the final, the real final Beatles song. So those facts make it touching. So maybe if you don't know, if you're a casual fan and you don't really know those stories, like the story of the slide guitar solo or the Now and Then John Lennon Think of Me, old friend story, maybe then it's not that touching. Maybe then the weird string arrangements, the weird strings by Charles, make you think, oh, this is rubbish. But like I said in my beginning, at the beginning of the video, intellectually it's probably not the best song in the world and not the best recording. But I think they did what was possible. If they had a different producer than Charles Martin, maybe if they had Nigel Godrich, but I think Paul kind of fell out with him during Chaos and Creation. Maybe with a Nigel Godrich, this would have been the subtle song it deserved to be. But still, on an emotional level, nothing could destroy. No strings could destroy this song for me, and I was really touched. And now I'm looking forward to the video later today, and also to the vinyl singles. I ordered 2 versions of it. Hope they get delivered today. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.